Hello, and welcome back to episode 73, Quest 5, the Discovery Tour. A Barter for Peace, 878 CE, Chippenham, Anglo-Saxon Britain. Review: Dr. Alban Gautier. 7 years have passed. Brother Ulrich, now confidant of King Alfred, has been Guthrum's hostess at Chippenham for 5 months. In order to win his freedom, he must convince Guthrum to seek peace, which the aging Jarl is loath to do. So we only have this one and 2 more, and then we're done with this. And we'll get all the shiny items. Water for peace. Brother Illich has been Guthrum's hostage for many months, while the tide of battle has turned in Alfred's favor. Now Alfred has besieged the Danes' army at Chippenham, and all await his final word: will it be execution or mercy?
Praise be to God, the Most High, glory of glory, Lord of lords. Help me to show your grace and forgiveness to those who need it most.
Guthrum Jarl approaches!
For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Elrich, are you done speaking with your god for now?
My dialogue with him is constant, my lord, even if my lips are not moving.
My lord this, my lord that. You Saxons are quick to bend the knee. Perhaps it's why you make such excellent prisoners.
And yet King Alfred's army of Saxons has you surrounded.
Yes, well. I had expected him to send for you, but 5 months and more he has left you here with no word. Perhaps you are not as precious to him as you led me to believe.
For what man knows the things of a man except the spirit which is in him?
Or perhaps he finds your habit of quoting dead men as insufferable as I do.
I doubt that very much, my lord.
Come, walk with me. It must be almost time for you to pray again. I'll speak plainly. I've kept my men from pillaging Chippenham so that Alfred will have no quarrel with me should he retake his home.
I see.
Do you? If he bests us, I will be at your mercy instead of you at mine. Can I trust you to speak on my behalf, or do Saxons cling to their grudges as dearly as Vidar?
Christ demands we show others the mercy he has already shown us. You have nothing to fear from me, my lord.
Well, we shall see. You served under Alfred for many years. Tell me, how does he keep the loyalty of his men? After so many years of defeat, surely his soldiers would join another army.
King Alfred's role has been ordained by God. To desert him would be to go against divine will.
There are no contests of strength, no challenges to his rule.
Why would there be? He alone is destined to lead us until God chooses otherwise.
There may be something to this religion of yours after all.
Coloring the world. Dark Ages were only dark in name.
As it turns out, early medieval times were full of colours, from paintings and clothing to flowers and vegetables. To break the prejudice against this time period, artists, modelers, and texturers made sure to implement vivid colours where they could. But as always, it's a fine balance to find between gameplay needs and historical accuracy. In some cases, developers chose to stick with one colour, despite historians' complaints. You should never mess with a historian. For example, pigs and carrots in AC Valhalla are pink and white respectively, although pigs at the time were brownish in complexion, and carrots, well, they had a wide range of colours, from white to purple. This choice helps with comprehension of the world, but also for consistency when certain objects are used in gameplay, such as the explosive red oil jars. Hence, one distinct colour makes items easily identifiable.
What is going on here?
No. The relic. It's gone.
I want every Saxon in this place searched head to toe.
Wait!
Remember your place, Saxon.
These people have been here since the siege began. They've no reason to steal, not now, and nowhere to flee if they did.
You accuse my men?
I accuse no one. Let me speak with those present. I will find the thieves.
No. You will return to your cell immediately. I will discover who is responsible before Alfred hears of it and decides to retake Chippenham by force.
One of these people must have seen something.
The church altar. Altars were church structures made of stone or wood upon which priests made offerings. They ranged in size, held precious relics, and were key to certain Christian rituals, including Mass. In the 4th century, the relics of important saints began to be placed in church altars. As depicted in this illustration, any ritual performed at those altars would share in the holiness of the saints whose relics they housed. While some altars were fixed, others could be moved. The main altar in Anglo-Saxon churches could nearly always be found against a wall or the outermost section of the building. This meant that the priest performing rituals would be facing away from the crowd of worshippers. His actions would be hidden from their view, which might suggest that they were sacred, restricted a private communion between him and God.
My apologies, but did you happen to witness anyone exiting the church with items made of gold or silver?
Surely I did. Some Saxons came here and took everything they could, carrying it all off to the butcher's house, next to the market.
That seems strange. Good Christians would have no reason to take what is theirs already.
Are you questioning my honor?
Merely making an observation. Thank you for your candor. Sister, did you see who took the relic and the rest of the gold?
I saw nothing! Now leave me alone!
Tell me, brother, did you see who stole from the chapel?
Don't ask me. Please, just go.
Christianization. There's a difference between conversion and Christianization. In conversion, one could recognize Christ as divine and keep one's heathen ways. Christianization involved a change in worldview and daily ritual. True Christianization, Scandinavians would have adopted the following practices: fasting on Fridays and during Lent, having the children baptized, avoiding marriage with cousins, donating to churches, swearing by relics or religious objects like this ivory plaque, and more. And like conversion, which can occur quickly, these behaviors were slowly integrated into the community. It is possible that the Christianization of the Vikings began prior to their arrival in Anglo-Saxon Britain. Many Vikings came from places where they would have encountered Christian ideas and perhaps absorbed them. The Vikings' familiarity with Christianity might have smoothed their quick assimilation into the Anglo-Saxon population.
Young one, did you see anyone carrying items of gold from the chapel?
I saw some men in furs and armor hiding things under their cloaks. They were talking about leaving Chippenham at night and said the statue would be too heavy. Then they went to the big house next to the Great Hall.
You have done our Lord a tremendous service, child. Thank you. We need to find out what happened to the relic.
Alright. So here we have a bunch of discovery sites to do. Scouts before the storm. Before invading a territory, it was important for would-be conquerors to learn the lay of the land. The Vikings first sent scouts and traders to gather information on the places they intended to raid. According to the 789 Annal of Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, seen here, the first Viking raid on Anglo-Saxon soil took place many decades before the advent of the Great Heathen Army. Viking scouts would travel to the region, observing and trading with locals. This was done to gain insights not only on the land itself, but its power structures and politics. The Vikings used this knowledge to decide whether they should attack an Anglo-Saxon leader or serve him as a mercenary. They also used this intelligence to plan their eventual invasion. Viking scouts were not always settled in their spying. Sometimes they left a trail of burned houses and villages. But this was no accident. Vikings sought to intimidate their rivals through violence and destruction. They were fighting a psychological as well as a physical war. And we're back. We had a little random crash there. Okay. Yes, so we didn't lose any progress, luckily. We done that one. Chippenham. The community of Chippenham in Wiltshire likely began as a Roman settlement. It was occupied by Anglo-Saxons in the 7th century and captured by Vikings in the 9th. According to the Welsh Chronicle Azur, Chippenham was a royal centre, or villa. During Alfred's reign, Chippenham was seized by the Viking chieftain Guthrum's forces on January 6, 878. The date was chosen because it was the Christian holiday of Epiphany. The Vikings often attacked during Christian holidays, having to take their enemies by surprise. That was pretty smart. Alfred would eventually win back Chippenham from its Viking conquerors. His troops besieged the town for 12 days until Guthrum agreed to surrender. This image from Assassin's Creed Valhalla shows a bird's eye view of Chippenham, seemingly peaceful despite the siege.
The child said that thieves went to the big house next to the Great Hall.
How do I get in here? What?
Bjorn, pleasure to see you. I'm searching for our sacred relics that have been taken from the chapel. May I look inside to clear your good name?
Certainly not. My men are sleeping and I won't have them disturbed by some monk on a foolish hunt for fault where there is none.
I need to look inside. There must be another entrance.
Oh.
Out of the mouth of babes.
What were you able to get?
Not much. They're guarding the food carefully now, but we should have enough for 2 or 3 days.
We'll leave tonight then, before Alfred's war dogs arrive. Gather the gold into sacks and let no one see you.
It shall be as you say, Bjorn.
I like the sound of that.
I should exit the same way I came in.
Yeah. Probably a good idea. Alright. Staying in the winter. Vikings usually raided during the summer. They would sail the seas and come back home in time to harvest their crops. Sometimes, however, they needed to find shelter abroad for the winter months. Unexpected circumstances occasionally forced Viking settlers to find a place to spend the winter. They would seek shelter in a small cove or river island to wait out the cold. These temporary or wintering sites could become permanent outposts like emporia, villages, or even major cities as seen in this map. Torksey, Repton, Mersey, Shrewsbury, Jorvik, London. Huh. Landscaping England. If a tree is in game and no one is around to see it, does it really exist? Probably not.
To replicate England's diverse flora was no small feat. The developers wanted it to be accurate and help players navigate the map. First, the world design team created a season map. England was divided into 4 areas, each allocated a season. Each season had its own variety of vegetation, from grass to trees, and its own humidity layer, which helped determine the type of soil in each area, lush, dry, or wetland. With these in hand, the level artists and designers could implement the right type of flora in the world, and create different landscapes using rocks and trees. Therefore, one region could have diverse but coherent scenery, engaging players in exploring the map meticulously.
Like, I find this, like, behind the scenes of the making of the game very interesting. Really cool.
My lord, I found the missing gold and the relic of Ely.
I told you to return to your cell, Elrich. I will not brook disobedience, not from my men and not from you.
found the relic with all the missing gold and silver. I also overheard your men talking about fleeing Chippenham and leaving you to face Alfred's wrath alone.
What? Who spoke of these plans?
No one whose honor I would impugn before the sight of God.
Your piety may cost me my throne. Very well. I will discover the truth without you. Now return to your cell. Do not let me lay eyes on you until you come at my command.
Yes, my lord.
So I should probably have told him who it was.
I need to return to my room. Guthrum abhors disobedience.
Yeah, but we're not gonna do that yet. Anglo-Saxon homes. Anglo-Saxon homes were built using different techniques but shared the same tree materials. Timber, wood, wattle, daub. Builders liked to use oak because it was solid and widely available. Wattling was a technique whereby small branches were braided together to form solid wooden panels. Daub was a mixture of earth, clay, and animal dung. It was used to fill the gaps between timber or to provide a solid surface for the panels. People's houses and living conditions varied according to their social status. The common people would live in wooden huts like this one. They would use the same space for cooking, eating, socializing, and sleeping. A wealthier member of the community would likely have a bigger house. It might include a hall as a common area, and the family would sleep in a separate building. Mm-hmm. I can't go there? Huh.
Get inside, monk. I won't be held accountable by Guthrum.
Two days later.
Good morrow, Bjorn. Have you come to join me in prayer?
Never, monk. Guthrum Jarl wants to speak with you in the Longhouse. Bring your golden idol. You'll need it before long.
Bjorn is waiting. I should not stoke his impatience. It's time to travel again, old friend. This relic carries a shard of the one true cross, if you doubt its potency.
I've no interest in your miss. What I want to know is why you didn't tell Guthrum who was involved in the theft.
Should a child be punished for every misstep they take while trying to learn the rules of their world?
I'm no child!
We are all children in our walk with Christ, Bjorn. Especially those who have not yet begun to follow him.
Spare me your sermons, monk. But my men and I owe you, so thanks.
It's time to travel again, old friend. You wished to see me, my lord?
Your king has finally sent for you. Alfred has delivered the terms of my surrender and I have accepted. You are no longer my prisoner.
Thank you, my lord. I will remember you in my prayers.
One moment, Elrich. I admit the insights I gleaned into the Saxon mind through our discussions made Alfred's terms easier to swallow. He wants me to be baptized, to become a Christian king. It is you who convinced me that doing so would increase my power, not diminish it.
Of course, any who come to the Lord are welcome. Hopefully in time, you will appreciate the many other gifts God offers beyond mere power as well.
Mere power? Hold your tongue, monk. With the treaty signed, your usefulness is at its end. Leave by the main gate. A horse awaits you. Now go before I change my mind.
Yes, my lord.
Alright, let's see. So now I should be able to do this, I think.
Better meet the messenger before Guthrum changes his mind.
Yeah. Is he inside? Is it you? Oh, I need a relic, of course. Horses and warfare. In the Anglo-Saxon era, there was little difference of status between foot soldiers and warriors who rode on horses. These distinctions would come a few centuries later in the Middle Ages. This copper alloy stirrup mount dates to the 11th century. Historians continue to debate how horses were used in Anglo-Saxon warfare. It is thought that warriors fled to battle, but not necessarily into battle. West Saxons would use horses to move swiftly across the Rhine to intercept Viking attacks, but may have dismounted once the fighting began. There could be many reasons to fight on foot rather than on horseback, but dismounting a warrior gave up the chance at an easy retreat. The Jester could have been seen as courageous. Committing to fighting on foot to the bitter end may have strengthened the bonds between a group of warriors. Or it could just have been to save the horses. They didn't want them to get killed. Meet the messenger at the gate. Assassin's artillery. Sword, bow and axe. Buy shoes when you can have them all.
200 unique weapon models were designed for AC Valhalla. After thorough historical research, modelling artists had the difficult task of designing realistic but spectacular weapons. Talk about a brain twister. Well, that's a good name for a weapon, actually. The flail was also added to the arsenal as a unique form of weaponry, even though flails weren't used by soldiers in battle but by peasants during harvest. To enjoy these weapons even more, new fighting styles were created. Players can now fight with a weapon in each hand, the dual wielding, or hit foes with their shield, sort of like a dual shielding.
I have to say that like the weapon designs and armor designs in this game is just amazing. Like they're so cool looking. Like, look at this axe. I don't have any of these weapons, I think. These are some really cool weapons. Strongest defense is a swift and decisive offense.
Shields played an important role in the Viking and Anglo-Saxon fighting techniques, and in AC Valhalla as well. Used in the game to differentiate clans and factions, each one has its own shape, paint model, colour pattern, and emblem. A new gameplay element was also added, the shield degradation. With each hit, an enemy's shield loses a piece until it's destroyed, and players can also now attack using their shields. Little known fact, it was common for vendors to walk around the battlefield, supplying clients with replacement shields and weapons. What can we say? Vikings were resourceful, though it's not a job I would have wanted.
That's pretty funny. A warrior's tools. A warrior's social status determined the quality of their equipment. The wealthier a soldier was, the better equipped it would be for battle. The wealthiest aristocrats would have been relatively well equipped with a sword, shield, helmet and armor. Higher-ranking members of the nobility would likely have worn a coat of mail beneath a dense, tough tunic to protect themselves from enemy blows. When a call a free man was summoned by his lord to join the Fyrd or militia, he would have been armed with a spear, a round shield and possibly a boggled leather helmet. Some calls will also have carried javelins, bows and arrows. Even though bows and arrows were useful as long-range weapons, they were not highly regarded by Anglo-Saxons. Bows were considered beginner weapons rather than tools of veteran warriors. Anglo-Saxons may have looked down upon bows and arrows because they were cheap to make and therefore appropriate for the low-born rather than people of high status. This attitude may explain why so few arrowheads have been found by archaeologists and why bows are so rarely mentioned in written accounts of the area. That is interesting, I didn't know that. Rare pieces of equipment from the era have been found. These offer great insight into the warfare during this period. The Yarm helmet seen here is not Anglo-Saxon but Anglo-Scandinavian. It was discovered in Britain in the 1950s. It is the first nearly complete Viking helmet found in Britain, and the second one found in Europe. The first was a Geirmundbu helmet, which was found in 1943 on a farm in Norway. All other Viking helmets have been found as fragments. That is crazy, like they only have found 2 helmets. Are we down here? I think so. There's 3 more discovery things, but they have to be somewhere else. Where is he? Oh, this one.
It is King Alfred who must claim this great victory, though of course God strengthens his hand. Brother Elrich, I was told to wait on you. King Alfred desires to see you at once.
And let us not keep the good king waiting. What news in Winchester since Christmas?
Too much for me to say. But the battle at Eddington was won, and soon the countryside will be free for all good Wessex men to till and plough as before.
For so many years of war, the land seems all but untouched.
Yea, nature's beauty has taken not nearly so hard a beating as we have.
It's a pleasure to see it again as a free man at last. What news of the king? How does he celebrate his triumph?
With more plans and late-night discussions. I've never seen a man smile so little when reporting such a great victory.
He's right to be wary. Guthrum is not tamed yet.
If you say so. His ferocity seemed to be at an ebb when I delivered King Alfred's terms.
I pray you are right. It would be well if we are done with war for his sake and ours.
I'll drink to that, brother.
Oh, stop. Stop. The megalith. A megalith is a massive prehistoric stone used in a monument. Megaliths likely played a role in the religious rites of ancient societies. Megalithic monuments, including stone circles, can be found throughout the world. In England, there are a number of standing stones raised in a circle. Sometimes the megaliths stand alone, sometimes in pairs and topped with a stone roof with a lid. Avebury is home to one of the biggest stone circles in the world. It has a diameter of 41.6 meters and was built during the 4th millennium BCE. The Avebury monument features a large henge and raised ring of earth, a big outer stone circle and two smaller inner circles at its center. There's only two left. And there's one. That has to be the last one. Wooden unlocked, really? Dividing the land. The structure of land ownership in Anglo-Saxon territories was slowly shifting prior to the Scandinavians' arrival and conquest. Larger states were splintering into smaller pieces of territory. The losers of the changes in land ownership were mostly secular and religious aristocrats, whose great estates were torn up and redistributed. The pieces went to the Vikings, whose invasion sped up the fracturing of the territory, but also to less wealthy Anglo-Saxon families whose new lands meant a rise in social status. The story of Lincoln and its surroundings sheds light on how land was distributed at the time. This has to be the last one. And these are for the probably for the next episode. Yep. This is it. Anglo-Scandinavian farming. As the Scandinavians occupied territories in Anglo-Saxon Britain, their population grew. This growth in number of people was matched by a rise in agricultural production. A growing population meant a growing need for prime materials, crops and livestock that could be used for food, clothing, trade and taxes. Scandinavian settlers likely grew 4 types of cereals: wheat, whose flour made coarse bread, barley, brewing beer, rye and oats. They feed both humans and animals. They also grew legumes and herbs like dill and coriander for spicing and seasoning. They cultivated flax and hemp to make textiles for clothing and trading. The Scandinavians' use of livestock was not much different from that of the Anglo-Saxons. For both groups, cattle provided milk and meat, and oxen were used to plough fields, as seen in this manuscript illustration. Yeah, that was the last one. Yeah. What? Interact. Humble abode.
The castles of England were meant to be seen from afar by anyone seeking refuge. Except rulers didn't really account for their castles also attracting Vikings. All fortified areas in AC Valhalla were inspired by the castles the development team visited while in England. Portchester, Derby, Goodrich, Housesteads, the Roman fort at Hadrian's Wall. They nearly bankrupted the project just in the gift shops alone. The Castell Trefaldwyn in Wales inspired the fictional Corstow Castle, a fort in the Shropshire region. In AC Valhalla, castles are a telltale sign of great bounty to collect during raids, and lords will often retreat behind a castle's protective walls when fleeing from Eivor. Oh, they can run, but they can't hide. Well, I mean, they can hide, but, you know, Eivor will still get them.
King Alfred awaits you inside.
Thank you for ensuring my safe return. Alfred will be waiting on my return.
Here? Checkmate.
AC Valhalla is set during a very tense political climate. English kingdoms were fighting one another, as well as trying to ward off Viking attacks at the same time. Hence, maps are displayed in the game as battle plans. To help players visualize friends and foes, chess pieces were designed. The 3D modeling team first created items inspired by an early Scandinavian chess set, the Njevertapel, which was combined with the Lewis chess pieces. Recently found in Scotland, they were crafted out of walrus tusk and whale teeth in the 12th century. This design merged English and Scandinavian heritage into a unique item.
Alright, I have to carry the relic.
Brother Elrich, you are returned to me at last.
By God's grace, it is so.
And by mine. I was the one who included your safe passage in the terms of Guthrum's surrender.
Then I am grateful to you as well, my lord.
And you have returned with the relic of Ely. I was ready to chase the Danes to recover it, but I see you have the matter well in hand.
With Guthrum's aid, yes.
You speak kindly of him. Even after so many months as his captive? Truly, you exemplify Christ's grace. Now come, we have a baptism to plan.
Three weeks later.
Meum exodidum planetum revolutam, sed non noi. Ubilutam est. Tales fiat.
That's why I've chosen the name Adele Stein. I trust you agree it is fitting.
Jarl Guthrum, to have you come in peace to our city at last fills my heart with joy.
You seem well, Elrich. Freedom agrees with you.
As a life in the service of Christ will agree with you.
Indeed. Let us delay this happy occasion no longer.
I should take my place amongst the faithful.
Baptism and victory. King Alfred had won an important battle at Eddington. However, it was his tactics after the battle that showed his political genius. By having Guthrum, his vanquished enemy, baptized, Alfred cemented a lasting victory. By having Guthrum baptized, Alfred forced his old foe to conform to the spiritual system that Alfred followed, Christianity. Alfred used that system to his advantage. He cunningly shows himself to be Guthrum's godfather. By making himself Guthrum's spiritual guide, Alfred created ties of symbolic kinship between them. However, baptism had political benefits for Guthrum as well. Being Alfred's godson gave him the status of a respected Christian leader. Guthrum was made King of East Anglia, a member of a small select circle of Anglo-Saxon monarchs. Guthrum's transformation as a Christian ruler was a political win for both the Viking and his godfather Alfred. This illustration depicts an idealized baptism scene from an epic poem, The Chanson de Aspermont. Popular in later medieval England, it imagines the baptism of a character named Roland, an Iberian royal messenger at the court of Emperor Charlemagne. Huh.
Si igita vis ad vitam ingredi, serva mandate. Diligus dominum diem tuum ex toto cortu, et ex tota animatua, et ex totement tua, et proximum tuum sicut typsum.
Amen.
Accipi signum crucis tam in front, quam in cord, sum fidem plastium preceptorum, et talis est moribus, ab tempum Deum as possis.
Amen. Amen.
Brother Illich self-returned with a relic from the Isle of Ely, his news brought to Alfred's political ambition. With Guthrum now baptized, the stage set for a new era of peace and parity between the two Christian kings. A Barter for peace completed. Peace restored. Nice. And shiny reward. Only medieval tattoo set. Alright.
Singulus rebus longe.
And that is it for this episode. If you like this, please like and subscribe and comment if you will. And thank you for watching. Bye bye for now.